Comic View. Yeah, it's Katt Williams did it on Comic View, which aired before the Kings of Comedy. That's just a timeline.
Yeah.
Steve Harvey did try to sabotage Bernie Mac. He did try to get hired on Ocean's 11. And that is an absolute lie that Steve Harvey said, I didn't want to be a movie star. Katt Williams is right.
Yes.
Steve Harvey isn't a movie star.
No.
Because Katt Williams is right. Steve Harvey doesn't speak well.
Yeah, he is, in fact, a country bumpkin.
Yes. Now, Bernie also didn't speak well, but he did it in such a way that was comical that it didn't sound as bad as what Steve Harvey does.
Bernie just had a star quality.
That's another thing.
Star. Like, he was just a star. I wanted to watch him. I wanted to watch him star in things. I wanted to see his movies. I wanted to see his TV shows. I can't say the same thing about Steve Harvey.
No, I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked the Steve Harvey Show. The Steve Harvey Show was funny.
But it was a rip of Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
I didn't even realize that until he broke it down, and it absolutely was a rip of Hanging with Mr. Cooper. And I did not know that he used a tour with Mark Curry. And that is funny that he was touring with Mark Curry. It was Mark Curry's tour, but Steve Harvey has never done anything with Mark Curry.
Right.
So that's interesting. Also, I've heard it on other interviews with DL that it was originally Guy Torrey hosting, Cedric the Entertainer, and Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey was supposed to be the closer.
He was the closer.
He was the closer, but Steve said he couldn't close because Ced and Bernie would go too long. And then when they brought in DL, they would go too long. So then they started mixing up the closers. But if anybody's watched The Kings of Comedy, and I know it was filmed differently to make Bernie the closer, he may have not been the closer that night, but Bernie is the king of that group.
Yes.
Plain and simple.
And if Katt Williams is to be believed, that the producer of the show made the decision to change the lineup and put Bernie as the closer.
I mean, yeah, because Bernie should be the closer.
Yeah, because he shut that show down. Like, he was the perfect ending.
Yes.
And he was the funniest one.
By far the funniest one.
By a mile.
And yes, the Kings of Comedy didn't do a second tour because Bernie kind of didn't want to do it. But that's because Bernie and Steve Harvey didn't get along. Now, you may not understand that now if you watch the Steve Harvey Show, because he does all these remembrance episodes. What's the word I'm looking for?
Like in memoriam?
Memoriam. Thank you. Memoriam episodes for Bernie. But they wasn't really rocking like that because think about it. Bernie Mac never appeared on the Steve Harvey Show. Not once. Steve Harvey never appeared on the Bernie Mac Show. Well, neither did Ced or DL. So none of them really appeared on the Bernie Mac Show now that I think about it. And Bernie never appeared on any of their shows.
Yeah.
So Bernie was just like, I'm just going to do my own thing.
Yeah. And what happened? He became a star and was starring in his own movies.
Now, Katt got his own issues. He's got issues with Kevin Hart. That seems like it's coming from hatred. I did a little bit of research. Fools Rush In was a movie that Katt Williams was originally supposed to have the Kevin Hart role.
Yeah.
He was cast in that role, but he was having legal trouble and couldn't go to the filming in Australia. So it went to Kevin Hart. And he's been better ever since then. I also do know the time that I met Kevin Hart, it was my friend who was working on the TV show Wild 'N Out, which Kevin Hart and Katt Williams were both on.
Yes.
At kind of while they were doing stand-up, right? Yeah. I then went to Chocolate Sundays at the Comedy Factory in LA. I think that's what it's called, the Comedy Factory. I know it's called Chocolate Sundays. Katt Williams was the closer back then, not Kevin Hart. Katt Williams was a bigger star than Kevin Hart. Now you can't compare the two. Kevin Hart is global.
Yeah.
Katt Williams is national.
Yeah.
Now, I still feel like Katt Williams' stand-ups are funnier than Kevin Hart's.
Yes.
Now, because Katt Williams has had to. Kevin Hart used to have really, really funny stand-ups. The last couple of, I mean, like, they've been okay.
Yeah.
So Katt Williams, there is some bitterness because Kevin Hart has not been on Club Shay Shay and hasn't thrown any shade towards him.
Yeah.
The only shade that Kevin Hart threw at him was on the Breakfast Club a couple of years ago because Tiffany Haddish was originally on the Katt Williams tour, but he didn't do anything for her. And when you think about it, Kevin Hart has brought up young comedians to try and give them an opportunity, and Katt Williams hasn't.
Yeah.
So there might be some truth to that. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notification button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.